For the pathological among us, myself included, here's how to take the dumpster fire of disjointed perks and weapon mechanics that is the Assault and turn it into something that's at least serviceable and Ruthless. Fair warning, there's a little bit more discussion about specific mechanics and math than in the other videos. That's just because there's a necessary amount of micro that you have to do that the other classes don't. Enjoy that. First, perks. Let me just go ahead and get it out of the way early. The Assault's perks are a mess, so we're going to salvage what we can from it here. For the first column, we're going to go with armor reinforcement, so your non-finisher gun strikes also give you armor pips. That way you're not just relying on parrying Minoris enemies to keep your armor topped off. I would really like to be able to take overcharge so that things like Aftershock can have their damage boosted. Unfortunately, that's not really viable right now. Winged Fury sounds good, up until you look at the damage that Pommel Smash does, which is less than a regular melee swing, for a much longer animation. Don't do it. Next, we're taking Auxiliary Arsenal. Heavy Bolt Pistol is actually pretty good. Extra damage. Retribution relies on you playing poorly. Don't do it. Consecutive Execution sounds nifty, but why though? Third column, you actually have a little bit of choice here. I would say if you're going to play with primarily pugs, go with Knowledge of the Enemy, just for the flat 15% damage boost against Majoris or Extremis. If you're playing with teammates who you can count on to actually shoot the thing, maybe go with Active Attrition, flat 10% damage boost for 3 seconds every time you bonk something, and that's for everybody. Team perks. In terms of the choices you have here between 10% faster ability or less damage from Terminus enemies, 50% more gunstrike damage is kind of the consolation prize to go with. Quick note here. Gunstrike damage is independent of your weapon level. Gunstrikes will always take the same number of strikes to cause something to go into execute. So we can make that happen 50% faster for everybody. That seems like the best benefit in this column at least. For the jump back, man, these are rough. I'm putting this together so that these 3 talents all kind of work in concert. So we're going to start with this one, Pride and Duty. After a finisher, Ground Pound deals 25% more damage for 10 seconds. You're going to be executing things pretty consistently, whether that's with the melee or with the gun strike. So if you can time your ground pounds after either one of those, paired with Precision Strike to make your ground pound do 100% more damage, even though it's a smaller radius, you basically get to do a finisher, take a look at that Majoris or Extremis, and say, whack that one guy in particular. And it does still come with a little bit of AoE around it, and, well, Hormagaunts and Termagants or Zangors like to clump up around Majorises anyway, so that feeds into Zealous Blow, which gives us an extra 10% recharge on ground pound for everything that we kill with the landing. This doesn't sound like a lot, however, when you do the math on maneuverability, that basically just means that instead of recharging in 60 seconds, it recharges in 48. If you manage to kill 2 things with Zealous Blow, congratulations, you've met the same benefit you'd get from this one. And this leaves you the opportunity to recharge things much, much faster. Or just dive into a pile of gaunts to delete those and get most of the charge back anyway. Signature perks are all manner of whacked. Commitment? I'm going to use a 60-second cooldown thing to do a dodge? No. Ascension, if it worked, is arguably the best one. Unfortunately, it is currently bugged as of the 3.0 patch. The way the talent's supposed to work is Jump Pack Leap deals damage to all enemies in the takeoff area. However, the way it actually works is sometimes Jump Pack Leap deals damage to all enemies as well as yourself in the takeoff area. Don't believe me? Run some missions with it. Eventually you're going to explodinate yourself. Which means, for the time being, we're left with ample ammunition. Any use of Jump Pack reloads the equipped ranged weapon, which is super lame and kind of a wasted point. Yeah, Assault needs some love. Not necessarily mechanically, but in terms of reworking their perks. For secondaries, you got 2 options, Bolt Pistol or Heavy Bolt Pistol. Considering the Assault's the only one that gets the Heavy Bolt Pistol, that's the one I'm going to go with. You could go with the version that gives you the extra accuracy. I find that with some of the perks, you don't really need it, and having the extra 60 rounds is exceptionally nice for the inevitable time where you need to plunk away at a Neurothrope because that dude's in the air, and even though you've got a jump pack, mechanics. Perks, maximum spread reduction. After killing Majoris, you get even more maximum spread reduction. Even more maximum spread reduction. Things close to you take 10% more damage. Well, you're going to be bonking stuff, so free damage. Perpetual penetration, because why not? After a gun strike, the equipped weapon instantly reloads. You're going to be spending a lot of time in the gun strike animation, so may as well make it work for you. More headshot damage. Even more headshot damage. Extra mag size. Extra headshot damage when your health's below 30%. Cool, sure. There's just not anywhere else to spend that point if you're going up this top tree. Melee weapons. You've really got the one option. Yes, I'm being a little bit sarcastic here. Chainsword's fine. Why would you use the Power Fist? Power Fist is garbage, at least with its current iteration. Yes, it got buffed. No, it's not as good as the Thunder Hammer. We'll get into why shortly. And that's before we even take into account things like its AoE. So, Thunderhammer. Obviously, we're going to stick with fencing just because the extra assistance staying alive while you're in the middle of everything and you don't have any sustain is nice. Perks. We're going to take the bottom tree. Extra melee damage. Aftershock preparation time is reduced by 30%. This is important. Paired with Seismic Chain, paired with Aftershock Improved, which give you the option to have a second ground pound as well as a second thump on Aftershock. So it becomes a backswing hit, thump hit, thump hit. This is what makes the assault actually do really respectable damage. More melee damage. Even more melee damage. Ground slam area of effect increased by 50%. More melee damage. Sacrificial, arguably, point to get to the stuff later in the tree. Kill 10 enemies with a light combo. You don't lose control on taking heavy hits. Sure, I'm not doing the light combo most of the time anyway, so Melee damage against Minoris by 20%. A little bit of extra horde clear, never hurt anybody. We take that to get to this one. Melee damage against Majoris by 10%. So there's your perks and your overall setup. So we need to now talk about math and breakpoints. Hooray. In the description, I'm going to link a Reddit thread from about a week and a half ago at the time of recording, going into really extensive testing about all the mechanics of the assault and how ground pound and aftershock, all of those attacks work with like detailed testing numbers. Go give it a read. I'm just going to touch on the high points here. Cliff Notes version, Pommel Strike sucks. Don't take it. Somebody tells you to take it. They haven't looked at the math. Really only good for interrupting reinforcement calls or getting some stagger. Even after you do the pommel smash, you can only go into a single ground pound, cannot chain into the double, which is one of your highest DPS combos. This is one of those quit trying to make pommel strike happen, it's not going to happen moments. Blockhammer isn't worth it. Yes, that extra 1+ damage sounds nice. It takes the swings from 28 to 30 damage and ground pound from 83 to 90 damage. So no, I'm not giving up the ability to perfect parry or negligible damage increases. So Aftershock. Aftershock is more complex than it would appear at face value. There's multiple charge levels. You may have noticed this as you were playing. It has its damage split between the wind-up swing and the slam, and the subsequent slam that you'll be getting if you follow this, so that actually gets bonus damage. Ideally, you need Aftershock to hit with all of the attacks. As a rule, you always want to use it at least partially charged. There are multiple breakpoints, because if you use it without charging, it does the same damage on all 3 hits as regular melee swings, at which point, why are you bothering? The charge level on Aftershock is correlated with the audio cues, so pay attention, and as you hear them, you'll release the button at the charge level you're looking for. Obviously, max charge is going to do the most. However, even with the extra talent to charge faster, that is painfully slow, and you're unlikely to hit with all 3 hits. So, in terms of ability to actually hit the thing you're trying to bonk, you're going to go for just after first level charge. So, after that first sound cue. That's going to give you 3 melee swings that do 2.5 times regular melee swing damage. All in an AoE, it's nice. And there you have it. That's how you take the amalgam of weird mechanics and useless perks and turn it into something halfway useful. If you disagree or have questions about any of the information I've presented, leave it down in the comments. Good news, Bulwark is up next. It's finally clicked. Bad news, Bulwark is really boring. I've been Bald Squid. I'll see you next time.